Hi, welcome, cultist. This is the Acolyte for both of us, and with me we have Cassandra, representing Magecraft Miniatures. How are you, Cassandra?
Hi, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for accepting. I know you guys are very busy. We want to talk to you and to know about your project, what you do, and who you are. So before we get into Magecraft, let's talk about who Cassandra is. We were talking before we started with you guys that she is from Texas, but were you born there?
Oh, I'm actually from Mexico. So,
Oh,
yeah, I was born in Mexico and then I moved to the US when I was quite young. Um, and then I've lived all over the United States. And then after the pandemic, or like during the pandemic, my husband and I moved to Houston because that's where our families are right now.
oh,
So, we wanted to be closer to our families and everything. So that's why we're here.
nice. And you found Magecraft before or after that?
So we founded Magecraft in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. So a couple months after we all were put into lockdowns, that's when Magecraft started. Yeah, so we started it in Orlando, Florida, because that's where we were working. We are both performers, so we were working for Disney at the time. And then the pandemic hit, and yeah, we started. It actually started as a hobby. It didn't even start as like let's make this a business. It was more about we just wanted to paint miniatures and play D&D because that's all we could do during the pandemic.
What else can we do? Well,
yeah, exactly. And then it very quickly turned from something that was just for fun to something that was sustaining us full time.
wow. That is amazing. I really, yeah, I believe that's amazing that you were able to do that. And so you've only been active for 2 years, almost 3 years then.
Correct.
I thought it was bigger because you have so many things on Instagram and so many videos and followers. I was like, I don't know, 10 years, something like that. It's amazing.
I wish. Thank you. It is exciting to think of like what is going to happen 10 years from now, like where it will be 10 years from now. So that is exciting to see. And yeah, about what you were saying, like we've just been so lucky to have not just so much support on Instagram of people liking our stuff and following us and commenting on our things and sharing our things, but actually people supporting us by buying our minis, that
Right.
we're extremely lucky. And every miniature that you see on that feed on Instagram is a commission. Like it's not something that we painted just for fun, or we printed and painted. That's an order that we received and we brought to life, and then that is actually on someone's tabletop RPG battle map right now. So it's really, we're very, very blessed and very lucky that it's unfolded like that so far.
That's amazing. You mentioned you founded it.
My husband and I founded it in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is an honor. I know you work there, but I thought it was like part of the team, not the founder. We have the founder, guys. This is amazing. Such an honor.
Yay.
So it started as a hobby, like let's paint miniatures and put pictures online, and then what happened?
Yeah, exactly that. I wasn't even into role playing at the time. Like I said, I had been performing the whole time before the pandemic. I was actually living on a Disney cruise ship and performing there. And then, thank you. And then my husband was actually performing on land at Disney World. And my ship used to dock in Orlando where he was working. So then when I got off the ship, a week later, we all went into lockdown, and he had just started playing D&D. And so he said he got really excited, and that was all he would talk about. And he was like, do you want to play D&D? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is.
Not really.
I had no idea what it was. And then he kind of rephrased it. He was like, well, think of it as like an improv game with fantasy characters. And I was like, I'm listening.
You got my attention.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, I actually have been painting for many, many years. I've been painting since I was like 17, and I love dragons and magical creatures, and that's what I used to paint most of the time. So then when he started explaining the game, and then the battle maps came out, and then he said, and did you know that you can paint these? And at the time, we were just using the Wizards of the Coast Nolzur's miniatures that are, pre-made. And I was like, wait, what? So then
He should have started with that.
yeah, exactly. So then he got all of these paints for me and set up this really nice spot. We had this really beautiful patio in our apartment, and he set up this beautiful kind of studio for me to paint. And we would spend hours out there just painting miniatures. And then, yeah, like you said, we started posting pictures online, just being like, look at this cool thing I painted. And then very quickly, it was like, are those for sale? People would start commenting and would be like, they are now. So yeah, we actually started painting the Nolzur's miniatures by Wizards of the Coast, and we sold a lot of those. But then we wanted to be better and do better and create even better things. So then we started exploring the world of 3D printing, which is a whole other ballgame in and of its own. Yeah. And so we got into 3D printing, and that was a journey trying to figure out how to do that. And at first we were doing it together, and then my husband took over the department because there were too many painted commissions. So then I couldn't do both. And then he got really, really good at what he does. Like the miniatures that he puts out are just stunning. And we partnered with some incredible sculptors, digital sculptors. So everything that you see was actually sculpted digitally by our creator, and then 3D printed. Wow. Yeah, and then it just took off. We created an online store, and then we created another online store. And yeah, it just kind of took off, and the support has been like a dream come true. I do wake up sometimes and I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, there's no way that this is happening, that I get to paint for a living. Especially because when I was younger, I got very, very sick at one point, and I couldn't do anything. I didn't get to go to college when I wanted to. I ended up going later, but I didn't go when I wanted to. And something that kept me going emotionally and mentally was painting. And so I remember saying when I was 17, like, if I can't do anything else, like if every other career goal that I've had falls through, I want to paint. And yeah, here we are, very, very blessed that I get to do this living. Yeah.
Yes, you are. There's a comment on the chat there saying that you're living the dream, and that's true. It's amazing that you're very lucky and talented. Let's not forget about that.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I have a quick question. It's not exactly about Magecraft. You mentioned that you were a performer. You mean like singing, acting? What did you do before this?
Correct. So I'm a singer primarily, and then I act and I dance as well. But singing is my favorite thing.
That's amazing. Have you ever mixed that with role-playing games? Like, I don't know, being a bard or something like that?
Yeah, actually, we when we moved to Houston, we had to stop playing with the group that we were playing with in Florida, unfortunately. And so when we moved to Houston, Blake wanted to play with his sister, who's 18 at the time, who is 18 right now, and she had never heard of role-playing games or anything. And so I wanted to give her an opportunity to be like a frontliner, because that's what she wanted to play. I love playing frontliners like fighters or paladins, or the frontline battle people. Yeah. But then, since I wanted her to have a chance to do that, I started playing a bard, like you said. And it's a loxodon, so it's an elephant person.
Wow.
So she's this huge elephant person opera singer, and that's that's how she casts all of her spells. She sings.
And she toots.
And yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Is that campaign still active? Are you still playing that one?
We are still playing that one. It's not as steady as we wish it were because of our schedules and how busy we are. So finding time to sit and play D&D sometimes can take a back seat, unfortunately. But yeah, it's still going.
And actually, about that, we have a question in the chat. Do you guys stream your campaigns, whenever you play?
We haven't yet. We've thought about it, but they're so unstable. Like it's so all over the place that we wouldn't want to get anybody hooked and then not put out content for a while, you know?
Right.
Yeah. But that would be a fun thing to do, especially because Blake DMs and he's a great DM. Because he's also an actor, so it's really fun to watch everything that he brings to life and all the characters that he brings to life. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
That makes sense. I actually saw that you guys, I'm not sure if it's also streamed, but you have some YouTube videos with you guys painting the miniatures.
Mostly on Instagram. So we do release some reels and very, very short tutorials on Instagram. We do not have a YouTube channel right now. Maybe in the future, but I am working on releasing in the future an online painting course. So that may be coming soon. It's a little while.
Through a particular platform?
I'm not sure. It might be like a private platform that you need like your login for. But yeah, it's still a while before that releases because it's a lot of material that I want to share with you guys, and I want to be able to bring a lot of value to it. So there's still a while before that comes out, but when it comes to videos, that's something to keep on the lookout.
That's very cool, and I'm sure that a lot of people will be very interested in that. I mean, I do like miniatures. I never painted one, but I'm sure that if I saw here's a class on how to do it, I would be interested. And I have some friends that would.
Good feedback then. Thank you. Validation for me to do it.
Now, going back to when you founded the project and everything, we actually have a question about that on the chat. But could you please first tell us why that name? Why Magecraft Miniatures?
Magecraft. First off, my husband Blake was playing a wizard at the time when the company started, when we first started goofing around with it. And Mage Hand is one of the spells that a wizard has as a cantrip, or that you can choose as a cantrip. And I don't know, I loved the concept of like the hand that does things for you kind of thing. So then we love wizards and we love magic, magical creatures, all of that. So mage from magician, wizard, all of that. And then craft, because we are crafting things by hand. So Magecraft. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, of course. And why? Well, you have an image on Instagram that's a hand with different creatures and brushes and all that. I do understand the logic behind that. But you also have another logo. You have the dragon with some wings.
Yes.
Why or how did you choose that?
So the first logo, the blue one with the hand, my brother, who's another co-founder of our company, the umbrella company that Magecraft lives under, my brother's a professional painter and he lives in Italy right now. So he actually painted that logo for a different project. And then when Magecraft came to be, he said, use this one. And I was like, but absolutely, I'm not gonna fight you. Yes. But then we started encountering things like when, if I remember correctly, you had asked for a logo and we had sent that one. You said you have something simpler. So that's how the other one came to be. When Blake was playing a wizard, I was playing an Icosahedron, which is a bird person. So that's where the wings come in.
Okay.
because that character was just very special, and just he kind of stood for everything that we believe in and all the values that he had and the values that we want for Magecraft. So that's where the wings come from. And then you have a die in the middle, which is a D12, I believe, in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dragon. The dragon, my brother and I actually sat at like 2 a.m. and sketched out that dragon on how we wanted him to look and like what kind of dragon he was. He's actually a blue dragon. He's the dragon that has the horn coming out of his nose, which is the first dragon that we 3D printed successfully, and that was one of our best sellers when the company first started. And to this day, it's like the mascot of Magecraft. So you have the wings of one of my D&D characters, the die, and then the blue dragon that my brother and I sat and created. So that's what we have to die, but I mean to logos. But the reason being is because a lot of people asked us, "Do you have something simpler that we can use for marketing?" So that's I know not the most exciting answer, but that's why.
So it's like a combination of what you were doing and feeling when you started, so you can like keep within that dream and that idea.
Exactly. There's so much to that logo, and every single piece in there has a meaning, and somebody sat there and drew it and created it and made sure that everything looked cohesive, and that if you saw the logo, you knew it was our logo, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Let me go to some questions of the chat so I don't lose them. I'm not sure if this question is for you, but I'll say it either way. Would you guys consider playing with Latin American people? Like, I assume people who speak English, but would you consider that?
Yeah, absolutely. If they want to play and they have a good story to tell and we can communicate, or even if we can communicate, that would add another cool layer of
that's true
role play to the game. Yeah, definitely. I don't know if that was for me. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that was like for the studio or for them, but there you have it. Here, I'm not sure. She was telling me that she's at home right now. She's not at the studio, so I'm not sure if you can do this, but do you have any miniatures with you, something that you could show us of your work?
I do, but I have to leave and come back. I don't know if you want me to do that towards the end.
Okay, all right, yeah, we can make like a small pause. Or, you know what, Maratura, I'm not sure if you meant like her paintings or the miniatures, now that I think about it. Do you have any of your paintings, like what you do besides the miniatures?
Oh, not my own. No, I don't have anything here. But I do have miniatures that I painted in the other room.
I mean, you want to see those? She made them. Right? Yeah, we can make like a small pause by the end, and then
I should have brought one in with me.
So, I mean, you can find them on Instagram and other social media. Their pictures are amazing.
Thank you.
Have you ever participated in any mini contest?
A while back when we had just started, I think we'd been active for like a couple months. There was a painting contest on Instagram, and we entered. We didn't win, but it's fine. Oh, and then if you actually go into our website, magecraftminiatures.com, and you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's actually a gift certificate, not a gift certificate, it's not a diploma. What is it called? Like from another contest that we did, and we ended up winning a Luxembourg prize for an art. So that's posted as well on the website.
Recognition, acknowledgement.
Yeah, and exactly. Something like that. And
one of those
posted on the website. But yeah, you know what I think happens with that is that I'm very, very blessed. Don't get me wrong. I'm very blessed. But I have so many commissions that I have to complete in such a short time. And right now it's just me painting.
Oh.
And so there's so many incredible miniature painters out there that if I wanted to do another painting contest, I'd want to really dedicate time and really do a commission the way that I wanted. Exactly. The way that I want it to look, and really, really go up. I mean, I do go above and beyond, but like I'd want to take a few weeks to paint it rather than.
I mean, it is a contest. You have to go further.
Exactly. So that also, I think, keeps me from participating. The time limitation.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Now, about what you guys do and everything, how many of you do the printing? Because you said you're the only that paints.
So right now,
the rest of the team.
right now, the only people working on the actual creation of the miniatures is just my husband and me. That's it.
Okay.
It's just the two of us. We're looking for help. We need help. Because again, we're very, very lucky, but it is getting out of control. We're not being able to keep up with everything that we need to do as fast as we would like to. But right now it's just the two of us. So he does all of the printing, and then I do all of the painting. And then we do have people that come in and like manage our social media, or my assistant that does a lot of the online stuff, all of the websites and emails, all of that kind of stuff. And then we have people that come in and help us pack as well to ship out. But the actual creation of the miniatures, the 3D printing, assembling, perfecting, the painting, that's just two of us. It's just two of us. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier some sculptures. Is that also paused, or it's because it's with commissions?
Yeah, that's more a commission thing. And then those guys aren't here. So we work with sculptors in France. We have our lead sculptor who's absolutely amazing. He lives in Spain. Check him out. You can find him if you check out the caption on Instagram, it will always say who the sculptures are by. So go and check these guys out, because they have some incredible stuff. And show them some. If you like what we're putting out, just know that they're the original masterminds of the sculptures. So yeah, but those guys, a lot of it is by commission or by contract. So they'll create things monthly, and then we'll pay we have a contract with them, and then we'll have access to those miniatures.
Right, and you do the printing, so you can do how many you want or need.
Correct.
Right. So I know a little bit about the process because I've spoken with other people about it. I really like miniatures, although I haven't done anything about it. But can you tell me and everyone else that's watching, what's the process? You have like the digital sculpture, and then what happens?
And then what happens? So we get the digital sculpture, and sometimes we get it in pieces. So, for example, if you go on Instagram and you look at one of the red dragons that we offer, that dragon comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces. So we'll get it in 9 digital pieces, and then that goes into a slicer. Then that slicer, you slice the file, and you take a USB and you plug it into the resin printer, and then resin goes in that resin printer, and then it prints it with UV light. It's actually really, really cool. If you had told me 10 years ago that machines would be able to do that in my house, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And then a lot of time, you'll have to reprint the same file 8, 9 times because it fails for different reasons. There's a lot of factors that go into getting a successful print. And then you get the files.
Like it moves, or what kind of fails?
So there's different things, from like the temperature of the resin can affect if it fails or succeeds. The way that it prints, there's a plate that comes down onto a vat, and it raises and lowers. So if the actual print doesn't stick to the plate, then it doesn't print. It just becomes this like splotchy mass in the vat. It has to be supported. So when you put it on the slicer, you have to add supports so that it prints. If you guys are interested, we can do snippets of start to finish of what it looks like along the way, and do do you want to see something like that? Let me know in the comments.
Yes.
And then once you get a successful print, then you have to take it off the printer, and then you have to wash it with alcohol, and then you have to cure it, and then you have to assemble it, and then you have to grind it to make sure that there's no ugly seam lines or imperfections, and then we prime it. Once it's primed, then it goes from the printing department over to my desk, and then it gets painted. Yeah.
All right. So here in the chat, they are saying that yes, that would be very interested.
Okay.
I am also interested. It's amazing. And you don't see a lot of the process online in general. You see like the results, but the actual process on how that's done, it's not that often that you see it. So it would be amazing.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for I love doing these, especially with a live audience, because I get to hear what you guys wanna what you wanna see, because a lot of the time it's just me guessing. And I tell my assistant, I'm like, I don't know, post these pictures, I guess, or post this video that I edited. I don't know. So having you guys live and telling me what you want to see helps me a lot to give you the content that you want to see. Thank you.
So, guys, if you have any other ideas or requests, now's the time.
Things that you want to see.
All right. And then it goes to you for painting?
Correct.
What's it like? How do you paint a miniature? I mean, with tiny brushes, but besides that.
I think it depends on the commission, because sometimes I get just painted like a generic blue dragon, right?
Okay.
Then that's easy for me to know that I have to start with dark blue paint and work my way to the highlights, and then do the horns in a bone color, and then the belly is yellow. I do, for some techniques, I will use an airbrush. It helps me speed up a little bit because I'm able to cover more space in less time. But I used to paint everything by hand, and it used to take me forever. So now that I have more commissions, I use an airbrush for some things, for mostly the base coat. And then yeah, I work my way from the darkest to lightest colors. I don't know if that helps, or if that's what you wanted to hear.
Makes sense. Are you able to paint details with a paintbrush? I'm sorry, with an
airbrush?
Airbrush? Yeah.
You definitely can. I personally prefer. There's like I don't want this to sound like very arrogant or anything, but there's a specific signature to my miniatures looks.
Okay.
That if you see a mini, you're like, oh, that was painted by me. And a lot of that fine detail is made by hand with a paintbrush. So can you do detail with an airbrush? Absolutely. I prefer to do it by hand with a paintbrush, because I have more control. And like I said, there's something about you putting your hand to the mini that creates very specific textures, and it brings it to life in a very special way. Right. But yes, you can absolutely create detail with the airbrush.
And this is your signature. At the end of the day, commission or not commission, you're an artist. You need to have like that signature.
Exactly.
Speaking of signatures, do you guys put like, I don't know, a signature or a sticker or something on each miniature?
Sometimes we do. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I forget to do it. I'm sorry. But yes, usually we'll sign the bottom of a miniature and the year it was painted. Just because we're starting to notice that a lot of people, especially as the prices go up, because we're trying to keep up with the inflation here in the United States, some pieces that when we first started were practically for free are now worth a lot more, because they were some of the earlier pieces. So, as I know collectors have told us, like, please sign it, please put the date, because I don't know, 10 years from now, this piece might be worth a lot more. But I'm sorry, I forget sometimes.
With so many things.
I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
It's understandable. They are mentioning on the chat right now that they just visited the Instagram and they saw the beholder, and his name is Cthulhu. He's saying the eyes look amazing.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, that's another thing with what you guys were asking about the airbrush. All of the eyes are done by hand, so there's something very particular and very specific about. It takes forever, but it really is worth it at the end when you create the detail by hand, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Do you work with different miniatures at the same time, or you start one until the end?
Um, I will tackle as many as I can at a time. Yes. So depending on how many I get on my desk at a time. So sometimes Blake will bring me 12 miniatures, sometimes he'll bring me 2. So let's say he brings me a 10, and then 4 of them are red in different ways. So like the beholder and a red dragon, and then another miniature that also have red in them. And then I get a blue dragon and a blue hydra, and things that are going to be blue. I will try to tackle the similar color palette at the same time. So while I'm working with reds, I will try to get as many parts of those red models done as possible before moving on to the next color palette. So yeah, I found for me and my system, it allows me to make them look as awesome as possible, as quickly as possible, with the amount of commissions I have. Yeah, I hope that makes sense, and I hope I'm not scaring you guys. Telling you all the truths.
No, I mean it's amazing, and it's this is one of the things that we wanted to have, like, get access to behind the camera, behind the flashy and amazing videos that you have, the actual work, because a lot of times, for example, speaking about prices, a lot of time and the crisis that's having the world right now. A lot of times when people say that the prices are higher or a specific price, they say, why? I better buy something that it's, I don't know, cheaper but will break or something. And knowing what you do and seeing your face and knowing your dreams about this makes it easier for other people to understand why it has a certain price, why it takes a certain time. For example, you're talking about making 10 miniatures at the same You can see me perfect. Now let's go to the stream. Okay, we're back. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not sure when we frozen everything. I see on the chat that they are mentioning about what I was saying, the knowing the people and the work that takes to have something. So I think they heard most of it.
Ooh, and now you're frozen, but I can still hear you.
Oh no.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I'll be gone for a second, and now I'm back. Hopefully, I'm not frozen.
There you go. I see you.
Perfect.
On what you were saying, thank you for saying that, and I really, really appreciate it. And it actually helps. It helps us, like I said, create the content that you guys want to see, because if you are interested in knowing the process and seeing what goes into creating these things, and that validates the prices that you are in, because it is an investment. Let's be honest. Like, these miniatures are not, whatever. They are an investment. So if it validates the investment that you're making, then we obviously want you to know as much about it as possible, if that helps you. Thank you for that.
I see on the chat, well, first of all, confirming that we are live, and then the same person that mentioned the beholder, again, his name is Cthulhu on Twitch, and he just posted or mentioned that the Cthulhu miniature is, I won't say what he said because it's not family friendly, but that is very awesome. And I think I know which one he's referring. I especially enjoyed the video, how you guys did it, because the video is like just like the small like ice or bubbles that it has.
Yeah.
And then going zoom out, and then you see everything, and how that you were seeing so big is this tiny tiny detail. I think that's amazing.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Thank you for checking it out. If you like Cthulhu, hi. There's another piece that's about to come out. We're trying to figure out what scale to make it, but you know that iconic poster of the guy with a flashlight, the torch, at the edge of the ocean, and it's like Cthulhu coming out, and you just see like his face with the red eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
We have that piece as a diorama piece. It's not necessarily it was created by Ricardo Ramos, who is our sculptor from Spain. And we're trying to figure out how big to make it, because it's not for a role-playing game. You can't really do anything with it. But if you're like a Cthulhu fan, oh my god, it's so cool. But right now it's like this big, and it's not that intimidating. So I told Blake, I was like, no, I need it bigger. It has to be huge. So yeah, stick around for that one, because that one's coming. Maybe not super soon, but that one's coming.
You'll have to follow them. What can we do?
Thank you.
Speaking about sizes, when I think of miniatures, I think something like this, maybe like this. But I've seen that you have some big miniatures. So what's like the size range that you guys manage?
It really, if we can print it in pieces, there's really no limit on what we can do. We do offer pieces. I'm painting a goblin right now that it's literally about that big. So there's that. But then I also have another dragon that's waiting to be painted, that the wingspan, there's not even enough space on the screen for me to show you. Yeah, they're huge. So it really just, you tell us how big you want it, and then if it fits in the printers, it can be done. And if it doesn't fit, we can cut it to make it fit. I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it can be pretty big. Things can be pretty big.
I think it's better. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. If you have something really big that you want them to print and paint, doesn't matter. Speaking of the client's wishes, how do you handle the commissions? Like, what can the client decide or ask for? What are like the limits, if there are any?
So you can ask, if it's like a basic paint job, you can just place the order, and there's really not anything that we can't do. We can't make them fly. Yeah, that's really the only thing that we can't really do. We can't make them move. But when it comes to the colors that you want, the effects that you want, there may be times where I may ask you to compensate me a little bit more because I have to buy special paint, or because it's going to take me another 8 hours to create the effect that you want, rather than the time it would normally take me to paint a dragon or whatever miniature. But yeah, there's really not a lot of limitations, because it's art, and we can get as creative as you want. We've painted some weird stuff. We've done some, there was this, and I will never forget this commission. I cried. It made me cry. It was commissioned to us by one of our clients. He's been with us from the beginning, and he continues to support us. Joseph, if you ever see this, thank you. Joseph, I don't know what he's on, but I want some of it, because the stuff that he comes up with is crazy cool. But he wanted this Tiamat painted. Not like a regular, if you know who Tiamat is, it's the dragon with the 5 heads. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a regular Tiamat. It was like a stardust Tiamat that was crossing through the galaxy portals. It was something very crazy. And the colors were very specific, and like the effect that he wanted it like that, like as if it had like pieces of it already in solid parts and other parts that were still like ethereal. But this thing is a 3D model. It's a thing that, So I remember just sitting there and turning to Blake, like crying, like, I don't know how to do this. But it eventually looked really cool. And it was one of those things that, as if there's any artist out there or really anything that you do, but then you step back and you're like, how did I do that? I have no idea how I did that, but it looks the way it's supposed to. So let's not ask questions. But yeah, there's not really a lot of limits on what we can do. The way that we handle it is you place your order and then we'll reach out to you by email and we'll tell you make sure if you do order, guys, I will say this, please read. I know it's annoying. I know it's, I don't want to do it either, but make sure that you read throughout the description and the listing. And then when we send you the email that you read everything, because every question that you have is there. All of the questions that you might have are there. So we'll send you an email with everything you need to know. And then if you have a very specific way that you want it painted, you just email me back. If you have concept art or photos or, even if it's
inspiration.
Exactly. The more stuff you can give me to not necessarily copy from, but reference, the closer I can get it to look the way you want it to look. Because if I'm working from my imagination, I may give you something that you did not want.
Right.
So the more concept art and the more reference you can give me, the closer I can get it to look the way you want it to look. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, if not is what you want, and might not be what I want.
Exactly.
They are asking, what is the most common miniature that you guys print and paint? Like something or some creature that gets asked a lot.
Our chromatic dragons. All of the main chromatic D&D dragons. So the blue one, the red one, the black one, the green and the white, they have their seasons. So sometimes we'll get 15 green dragons ordered and sometimes we won't get any for like 6 months. But the red, the blue, the black, and the Tiamat, those are ordered every single week, more than once.
Week?
Yeah. So
how often do you get commissions? I mean, you mentioned you have a lot, but how often do you guys receive them?
On a bad week, like 4 or 5 a week. On a bad week. On a good week, we've gotten 15 orders in 1 week.
Wow.
So it's fantastic. Honestly, I wake up, like I said, and I'm like, pinch me, because I don't know if this is real. We're very lucky and very blessed to be so supported by the community.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
They want to know, what's your favorite miniature to paint?
My favorite miniature to paint. I love painting the blue dragons. That blue boy. Yeah, the blue dragons will always have a tender spot in my heart because he was my first baby, like I said before.
The first one you posted.
Yeah, that was not necessarily the first one we posted, but the first one that really took off. Oh, okay. Terresks also get ordered a lot. But yeah, that blue dragon was like our jumping off point to what Magecraft is today. So I love painting that blue dragon, but unpainted. Are we good?
No, I'm sorry. Give me just 1 second.
You're good.
I'm not sure we're live because our stream master had a bit of an inconvenience. Let me just confirm. 1 second.
Okay. I'll be here.
Okay, we're live.
You're good?
Yeah. I'm sorry, we were talking, right, cost of miniatures. I mean, of course it depends on the size, the colors, all that, but like a general idea for everyone.
If you're buying, let's say, just most of the dragons, just a generic dragon, if you're buying it unpainted, it's going to be in the $100 range.
Okay.
That being because a lot of the time it'll come partly assembled or fully assembled. So you're paying about $100, and if if you're in the US, I know you guys are not in the US, I'm sorry. But within the US, shipping is free as well.
Okay.
And then
That
if you
makes sense.
if you are buying a painted miniature, you're looking around 180 to 250, depending on the size and what miniature it is.
All right.
Does that help?
Yeah. Have you ever had like, I want to print my miniature and you guys to paint it?
All the time.
Can that happen? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
all the time. Yeah, definitely. If you already have the mini and you just want it painted, you can just ship it in. We'll paint it and ship it back to you. You just tell us how you want it to be painted. Yeah, it happens all the time.
All right. I'm sorry, the order of the questions. Yeah, first this one. Well, you already mentioned. So you do printing, painting, printing and painting. And can I send or can someone send a custom mini? So send you a different miniature that you don't have on your options.
Yeah. So we also offer that exclusive service. You're frozen.
Mm. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Custom minis. Put a pin on that. No, you're still frozen. I'm sorry.
I think it's on my side, so I am sorry.
It might be me as well. I don't know. My Wi-Fi can sometimes be very gross. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, hi. So we actually do offer that service. If you go to magecraftminiatures.com and go to the menu on the left-hand side, you'll see custom sculpts. There we can create your player miniature. So if you're playing a bard and he is an elf that plays a guitar and I don't know, whatever you want, we can create that. If you have a monster that you created, because you're the DM, you created and you've been looking everywhere for this monster and it just doesn't exist and there's nothing that looks like it, we can create your monster. And if you have another dragon that you're like, this dragon doesn't exist and I really, really wanted to be on my table, we can also do that. Those are an even bigger investment because those have to be, they don't exist. So they have to be custom sculpted by one of our guys.
Mm-hmm.
You will send them all of the information. You'll send us all of the information that you want for this miniature, how you want it to look, how tall they are, what race, what weapons they have, everything. And they will sculpt it exactly the way you want it to look. There's not another miniature that exists that looks exactly like yours. And then we'll print it. And if you want to paint it yourself, we can just ship you the unpainted model, or we can custom hand paint it for you as well. So yes.
Wow. So full service. That's amazing.
Yay. That's a very cool thing because we looked at the market and we noticed that wasn't a thing yet when we first started with Magecraft, and we were like, we got to get on this. So yeah, we're very lucky that we can offer that.
Yeah, that's true. So now we have two questions, both regarding complexity. Which miniature has been the most complex you have painted? You mentioned the crazy one of Tiamat, but complex might be the same. And then, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Regarding the same subject of complexity, the question is, have you ever had to turn down an order due to it being too complex to print or...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we love what we do very, very much, but with the amount of work that we have, we unfortunately don't have time to be dealing with rude people. We just don't. So if the client right off the bat is just being disrespectful, or I'm not even going to say, but you guys can't imagine if you worked with customer service, you can imagine. So there's been two commissions that I was like, no, I'm not thinking. Yeah. But never because of complexity, thank God. The most complex model to paint is Tiamat.
Because all the heads and so many details.
Yeah, she's a pain in my butt. Which is why she costs so much money, because in the time it takes me to paint like 4 or 5 dragons, I'm still painting 1 Tiamat. So she just takes me forever, and there's so many details, and every head is different. And God forbid a client asks for something very specific with that model that's the standard, I will be there for 2 weeks. So yeah, Tiamat it's the most time-consuming, complex, but very rewarding piece. Once she's done, you're like, oh, yeah, she's amazing. But yeah, she's very difficult.
Yeah, thinking about it, it makes sense because it's like 5 creatures in one.
Exactly.
They are asking if the Karcher and the Guardian Forest are custom miniatures.
The what? I'm sorry?
It says Karchar and then Forest
Karkar.
Guardian. Karkar, sorry.
Okay. Those are actually created by the sculptors that we partner with in France. So those were not custom sculptures, but they're weird. Aren't they weird? And it's funny because we post the Karkar on Instagram and y'all go nuts. You guys go crazy. And it cracks me up because when that collection came out, I saw the Karkar, which is it's a great white shark with legs. Like,
yes, I saw that.
Yeah. It's weird.
It is weird.
And I saw it and I was like, what in the world? I hate it. I don't like it at all. But then it got commissioned and Instagram went nuts. So I was like, I don't know what you guys want. I think I know you, and then you surprised me. Yeah, so that one was not a custom sculpt, but it is very unique. And what was the other one? The Forest Guardian.
Forest Guardian.
No, that one wasn't either a custom sculpt. I like that one. That one's very pretty.
If it's the one that I'm thinking of, I really like it.
Yeah.
I actually think it's one of the ones I chose for the video.
Oh, okay.
It's so amazing.
Yay! Is it?
So, I'm sorry?
No, I was going to ask in the comments, is it the one we're thinking that you're talking about?
So the one I'm talking about, or I'm referring to, is the one that is like a humanoid moose.
Oh,
with blood in their mouth and like a corpse.
Gotcha. We actually changed the name to Deer Monster for ethical reasons. He actually has a different name under D&D, but we changed the name. The Forest Guardian might be a different one. There's there's 2 different ones. One that is, it almost looks like it's almost like it's made out of branches in the comments. Am I right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Because you have to tell us which one do you refer to. Forest Guardian. And meanwhile, because we have a small delay, here's one interesting question. Do you love your job?
I love my job. I do. I do have moments where I'm like, and I'm like, I'm gonna quit. But because I do work for myself, so there's no solid income. There's no guaranteed income. Especially at the beginning. Yeah, especially at the beginning, like everything was done by me. Everything. So like I was 3D printing, I was assembling, I was packing, I was painting, I was answering emails and the websites and the Instagram. So it is a lot when you're working for yourself, and anybody that has started a business like you guys with your Twitch, you know that a lot of it falls on you, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is nothing more rewarding than bringing something to life for a storyteller. For me personally. So most of the people that I work with are dungeon masters, and some of the stuff that you guys come up with is just like mind blowing. Like my brain doesn't work like that. I mean, maybe if I tried, but no, like some of the stuff that you guys come up with, like the world building and the monsters and the characters, like it's amazing. And so for me, when you guys come to us and say, can you do this? and then you guys put it on your battle map, and it's exactly what you wanted, and it looks exactly like you envisioned it, and your players have this awesome encounter, and this epic battle, and unfortunately a lot of the time our monsters get killed. It is what it is, but they die a heroic death. Like,
That's their job.
yeah, exactly. It's their job. And it's just so rewarding. It's just so fun and rewarding and exciting and inspiring to see all of you guys, all of the beautiful things that you create, and be able to help you with your storytelling. It's wonderful. And then, yeah, just knowing that, like, the work that I'm putting out is making a difference. I haven't talked about this yet, but one of the biggest things for Magecraft, and we're working more on that as well, is being able to give more artists work. That's huge for us, because if there's any artists out there in the comments or watching this, you may attest to this, of how you have that imposter syndrome, of how no matter what you do or how well you do it, like, it's never, you feel like it's never good enough, or like you don't feel like you can charge what you want to charge for your art. So being able to give artists a platform to do that, and to create sculptures. Why do I keep messing up that word? Creating these sculptures, and Ricardo, who's our lead sculptor, is now living off his art. Like, he wasn't doing that when we first started working together. He was working at a job that he hated. He didn't like his job. He didn't like what he was doing. And then through all of this wonderful stuff that started happening between Magecraft and him creating his own thing, he's living off his art. So that for us is like, wow. It's a huge win. Our friends in France, also, they were just a group of friends that loved to sculpt, and now they're living off their art. That wasn't because of us, but because of the incredible things that they're creating. We also create character portraits, for example. So you can, if you have a character that you're playing and you want a portrait of this character, we also provide that service. So giving illustrators a platform to create these things, it's extremely rewarding, and it's extremely inspiring. And yeah, we want to keep growing and bringing more people on board and more artists on board, and giving you guys somewhere to work from. Yeah, so I do love my job. I don't know if you can tell. I do love my job.
Yeah, I can tell, and it shows on how you speak, and you guys do. So if someone wants to work with you guys, like, for example, I don't know, another sculptor or someone that would like to try and work with you and your clients, how can they reach out to you?
You can reach out to us through Instagram. That's going to be the easiest thing, because we all of us have Instagram, so it's easy. Not all of us, but it's easier to reach out to us that way. You can reach out, and then we'll ask you to forward your portfolio and any work that you've done, to forward it to our email, and we'll give you the email through the Insta, so you can reach out. You can also reach out to us through the website. There's a contact us page through there, through Facebook as well, but mostly Instagram and the website are going to be your easiest bets. And yeah, just make sure that you have your portfolio ready and what experience you have, so that we can have you on file. And we may not use you right away, but then if something comes up, we might be like, hey, do you want this commission? And then that can lead to other wonderful things. So yeah, definitely reach out. Definitely reach out.
All right. There you have it, guys. And then for people that want to commission printing, painting, both, is it through Instagram as well, your page, or how does it work?
So again, the easiest way to find us is going to be through Instagram. And then in our link in bio, we have our link to the website. We have our link to our official website, which, don't tell anyone, but everything is cheaper on the website. Then we have an Etsy store, which everything is more expensive through Etsy, so don't use the web. And then, so that link in bio, but then you can also find us at magecraftminiatures.com.
Okay.
And yeah, that's the easiest way. If you have any questions, there is a chat feature there where you can reach out to us directly. You can also email us, message us through Instagram. We're pretty accessible. We try to be as accessible as possible for you guys.
All right.
Yay.
So I know you guys mentioned you had about an hour. I have a lot of more questions. I covered all the questions from the chat, so
Go for it,
they
because they
have their
haven't.
answers.
Go for it. So they haven't called me yet, so I can stay a little bit longer.
All right, perfect. So I'm curious about your process. I know, or you mentioned that you painted since you were younger, a child. I don't know, a teenager. I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I am assuming that it's not the same to paint like a painting than a miniature. So, what things have you had to learn?
I actually have painted sculptures my whole life. So
Oh,
yeah, so not necessarily on canvas, although I could hold my own. But it's mostly sculptures. So when I was 17, I was sculpting dragons. So I would sculpt the dragons out of clay myself, and then I would sculpt unicorns and all kinds of magical things, and then I would paint them myself. So I was always painting sculptures. So when I started painting miniatures, the technique was much different. The
all
the
right.
process and the system wasn't much different um, than painting a sculpture. Is there something specific about the process that you'd like to know?
Well, first of all, I thought you painted like in a canvas. So I thought you had like well, no, yeah, my question is still the same. Like, what's the difference? Did you have to learn specific techniques or maybe the materials? Because I know that paint doesn't get, like, you cannot use any kind of painting.
Yeah. So I used to use just kind of generic craft store paint when I was painting my own sculptures. And it turned out pretty well. But then when you start painting miniatures, you have to use a very specific type of I use acrylic. You can use anything. I know a lot of people use oils. Um, but if you want to use acrylic, you have to use a very specific kind of acrylic paint that won't goop on you, because there's already, especially if it's a small mini, there's already so many details and no space for you to go nuts on. So if your paint is gooping on the paint on the miniature, like just toss it in the trash and try again. Because it's yeah. So I use paints like Vallejo
Okay.
colors, Citadel paints, Army Painter, and Scale 75. Those are like my go-to. Vallejo being my favorite. Those paints, they dry very quickly, which has its good and its bad sides. But for me, it's very good because I need to move very quickly through commissions.
Yeah.
So if I have to wait an hour for something to dry, like I don't have that kind of time. So it dries, like you put it on the miniature and in seconds it's dry. They
Wow.
also mix really well. You can dilute them really easily. So yeah, you just have to have very specific paints, so that, especially because miniatures are very small. So if you're working on skin tone, like you need something that's gonna go on smoothly and not goop and not create clusters of paint and stuff. But yeah, mostly that was mostly the biggest change that I had to make. And I remember the first time that Blake bought me, my husband bought me my first Vallejo palette. I kind of fought him on it. I don't know why. But I was using the ones that I used to use for my sculptures, and I was like, these are fine, they're good, I'm fine. And then he came home with that palette, and I was like, oh my god, let there be light. This is wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it answered my question.
Okay.
Now, before they call you, could you get some miniatures that you have?
Yeah. If you want to entertain everybody for just a minute, I'll be right back.
All right. Yes, of course. All right. So she's getting some miniatures. Let's give her a few minutes or whatever it takes. How are you guys doing? I see our usuals. Hi, Cthulhu. I think I saw Was at some point. Hola, Was. How are you? And also, Drachnis. Thank you so much for coming. We are almost finishing the interview, but thank you so much for passing by to say hi. Hola, Maratura. Thank you for being here. Hola, Mara. Maratura, este es un saludo especial para ti. Maratura, this is hello for you in particular, directly special. Oh, wow, that looks amazing.
Okay, let me see if I can fit this baby on the screen. So the first one that I'm going to show you, can you hear me? Can you hear me? We're good?
Yes, yes.
Okay. The first one I'm going to show you, this is actually a commission that's going out this week. This is our Gargantuan Taresque. We actually sell this one in a colossal, which is like almost twice, no, maybe bigger than twice as big as this. So it's this one, and we just released an updated version of it, which is the Taresque Evolved on the website. That one's even like bigger than this one. That one on its regular scale has a 7-inch base, something like that. Wow. And then we also offer that one in a colossal, which has an 11-inch base. So that's, I don't know, that's more of a centerpiece than a role-playing miniature. And then this one, this is one of the only miniatures that we own for ourselves. This is Blake's Silver Dragon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Thank you. He's very handsome with his mohawk. Yeah. So this is one of the only miniatures that we own, and he actually was. I don't even know how we ended up keeping this one, but Blake was like, "This is mine now," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine." Yeah. So those are the two that I have right now to show you that we're in one piece.
Wow, those are amazing, and also the chat, they agree.
Oh yay! Thank you guys
a lot. So they are saying that it looks like he can protect the village instead of being the attacking dragon.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and he's up high in the office, so he like overlooks the office, keeps everyone safe.
Do you guys have an office like separate from your house?
We use
space for this?
Yeah, not right now because we haven't been in Houston for that long, but the goal is to eventually get a warehouse and get a warehouse where we have the printers and we have another like side place where you're painting, and then another place where sculptors can come in and create the minis. And then we would love to have a storefront in that warehouse where you can come in and buy a miniature in person and just walk out with your mini rather than having to wait the processing time. Yeah, so that's a goal. Hopefully soon we can have that. Yeah.
And speaking of that, do you guys have like some stock miniatures that you already have painted in case someone likes them, or it's only through commissions?
It's only made to order. So nothing is pre-made. Everything, as soon as we get your order, it goes into the system, it gets put on a queue, and then once the other orders get made in order, then yours gets created. So it's not like you got one that was like dusty in the shelf. Like it was literally created for you.
Wow.
Yeah. The downside of that is that you have to wait. Yeah. In the age of convenience,
that is like a week wait, something like that.
No, we wish. Oh my God, can you imagine? Yeah, oh my God, that would be amazing if I could work that fast. I need like, that spell in D&D that's called Simulacrum, where you create like clones of yourself.
Yeah.
I need that. I need like 4 of me painting, and then 3 of me helping with the printing, and then just a bunch of me running around. So no, that's the downside of having something made to order, that it will take a while. So
approximately how long?
It depends on if it's painted or unpainted and how busy we are. So for example, during the holidays, you might be waiting 6 weeks for an unpainted piece. So plan ahead. Yeah, for like on a slower time, which is never, on a slower time, you can wait like 3 to 4 weeks for an unpainted piece. If it's painted, it's going to take longer. So if you are placing an order for a battle that you're having for your campaign and you know that it's going to happen, I don't know, 2 months from now, don't wait, because there's a good probability that you may.
And now I can see you.
Okay, perfect. What was I saying? I was saying something about, if you have a battle that you know is going to happen in your campaign in 2 months, don't wait. Like, order it the sooner the better so that you have plenty of time. I would rather you have your miniature sitting on a shelf waiting to be played with than your battle is happening in 2 days and I still haven't finished. Like that, because that adds extra stress that we don't need to you and to me. So the sooner you can place your orders, the better, because it is only the two of us. And there are a lot of orders that we're putting out. We're very lucky, but we always want you to have your miniature when you need it, right? There was something else that I wanted to touch on that. There was something else. I'm sorry. It might come back. It might come back.
So you already kind of mentioned this, but did you, or were you expecting the response that you got?
No. Oh, no way.
How was that? Like the process of getting, I don't know, likes and people asking for commissions and all that?
It just, I want to say that it sort of just happened, but that wouldn't be true. One of the things that I think helped us a lot in that is continuing to show up, if that makes sense. So we try to post 6 times a week on Instagram. It feels like a lot, and sometimes it can be a lot, but continuing to show up really makes a difference. So if you're working on something, if you're a content creator on a platform, keep showing up. That's the best thing that I can give you. The best tip is keep showing up. And every time that you do something, try to make it better than the time before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That was something that really helped us. Was I expecting that? No. I honestly thought it was just going to be a fun hobby that, I'm sorry, can you hear dogs?
No. Okay,
don't
worry.
I thought it was just going to be a fun hobby thing that we were going to be doing while the pandemic was happening, while Disney called us back when, and then it ended up sustaining us full time. So it kind of just happened, but it kind of didn't. Like, there was a lot of work and effort that kept being put in, and then it was like a two-way street. Like, we would put in effort and time and keep showing up, and then more people would keep supporting us. I think that's the best thing that I can say. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers the question. So could you tell us what has been like the hardest part of this process and like the sweetest part of the process?
The hardest part of the process. I think, especially in this economy, one of the biggest challenges is not having consistent income. Sometimes our income is through the roof that week, and then the next week it's not. And figuring out how to navigate that in this day and age. Running a business. Also, I've worked in customer service for a long time, and I was a store manager for a long time. And I hated those jobs. And while I was there, I was like, I'd rather be doing anything else. But then now, looking back, those jobs helped me know how to run this, right? Okay. It was like the life preparing me ahead of time without my knowledge. But yeah, running a business it has its I want to say it in Spanish. Tiene su maña, right? So that and managing the finances and wearing all the hats and knowing where everything is at all times, what everyone is doing at all times, where everybody's commission is and where they are in their process. So if you email me, I can tell you exactly what's going on with your thing. So running the business and going from just running a hobby to this is my job, that was very hard and working for myself. But the sweetest thing about it was getting really good at it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because a lot of us, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments, and Fo will also correct me if I'm wrong, like no one teaches you to manage your finances. They don't. No one teaches us how to do that. No one teaches you how to run a business. No one teaches you how, like, no one teaches us that. And so we're walking around making money, and then all of a sudden you're like, where did all my money go? I don't know. Right? So that was us too. And I mean, in our personal life, that kind of still is us sometimes. But going from that and being in severe debt when the pandemic started to being able to really get our stuff together and figure out how to work my finances, because for the Magecraft is a smaller company within a bigger umbrella. And I'm the president of that umbrella. So I have to know not only for my own company, but everybody's company under that umbrella, where their finances are, what they're doing, what's being spent, what's not being spent. I had no idea how to do any of that when I started. Like, if I went back 3 years and I dumped this on myself, I probably would have a panic attack. So getting very good at that and putting in the time to learn how to work my finances and learn how to run a business and getting very good at working with people, that's been very, very sweet and very rewarding. And it's a wonderful skill to have, I think. And just knowing how many people we've it's so silly, but like how many people we've made happy with these things. Like, we just got a review from a mom that bought a Tarrasque actually for her son. And just the joy of him getting the Tarrasque and playing with it, and you know, that experience of making someone happy, it's really exciting. It's very rewarding. On the finances note as well, we've had more than one person that has been with us from the beginning, buying our stuff when it was very, 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 very cheap because we had no idea what we were doing and the painting wasn't great. To now, we've had a couple of clients say, because I want to buy your stuff, I had to get a better job. So now I'm making more money than I was before. Because I want to buy your stuff. Yeah. So that to me, like, if you're upgrading your life to buy stuff, like, everyone wins, you know? Yes. Yeah. So that it's just been so wonderful to see the people that we're working with, and yeah, that's one of the sweetest parts, and being able to come into me as a person, come into my own and take charge of my business and my company and my finances, and kind of trying to, and we're still working on it. Like, there's still a long ways to go, but working on myself as a person through this has been very sweet. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Perfect sense. And I mean, we've had other interviews with players and also like creators of dice or also miniatures. And a lot of them mention how role-playing games lift them from like a crisis point emotionally. And me, myself, I can relate to that. And here in the studio, we can relate to that. However, this is like the other part that also can happen, because this helped you guys during the pandemic, and I'm sure that it helped you emotionally, mentally, but also financially. And I mean, it's a dream because not everyone can do that. In some cases, you don't have the talent. In some cases, you don't have, I don't know, the time or whatever. But you guys have that chance, both talent and the maybe courage to start it. And it really makes me happy that it's working for you, especially because, again, it's amazing what you do. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I am happy that it's working for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. And yeah, both role playing and painting for me, I know all the voices in my head get quiet when I paint. And some of my best ideas come when I'm painting. So definitely. And for role playing, my God, it's so therapeutic, and it's so, like, you get to
cathartic.
Yeah, you get to step out of yourself and your own doubts and do it as someone else. I find that super helpful. It's therapeutic. Yeah.
Have you guys ever used your miniatures, your painted miniatures for your games?
Yeah.
Nice.
When we first started, mostly, because when we first started, we had time to paint our own stuff and use our own stuff. Now, not so much. Now, what we adopted to doing was, if we have time and we have a spare printer, or if we have some printers that are not that good anymore. They were some of the first printers that came out when 3D printing was first getting started as a hobby industry. So we have a few printers that are they're not good now. The quality is like, we wouldn't send a mini printed on those printers. But what Blake will do is he will print a monster on that on that printer. He'll print a miniature there, and then we'll use it. But most of the time they won't be painted. What we do with our miniatures, for example, our players, is each one is a different metallic color. So mine will be sprayed gold, and then my husband's will be sprayed silver, so that we know who's who. But unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time anymore. Would I love to? Yes.
Of course.
Because then maybe I would want to stream then. But I'd rather you guys have your cool minis, and then I can just.
Well, thank you so much in behalf of everyone that has had the chance to have your minis and play with them, and for myself in the near future.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much. And I will create a coupon code that you can post on your Insta as well, or on your Twitch, that you and your followers can access on the official.
That's so nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'll send it to you through Instagram afterwards.
All right,
so you
perfect.
Can access that. Yeah.
All right. Wow, that's amazing. I'm so excited. I want to go and look at your minis now. All right. So I know you said that they haven't called you and everything, but I don't want to extend myself too much. We are reaching the end of our show. Unless you guys have any other questions that you would like to ask, that's the time. But while they send their questions, we always give some space for our guests to talk about future projects, something that you want to share. I don't know, an event or something like that. Now's your time.
So we have a couple of things coming up, actually. So one thing that we started using or doing towards the end of last year was creating props for theater, for film, 3D printed props. So we created this beautiful chalice for one thing, and then a light bulb that would turn on like with a button. We created this. It's actually on the Insta too. There was a switchblade that was used for a show here in Houston.
Okay.
So we're creating props, and they can be custom props. That you can use it, like you can use for an entire campaign if you wanted to. So that's coming as well. We're very excited because we've been working on that for like a year, and just now it's actually starting to come through. What else? We want to start creating more custom miniatures that you can only find in Magecraft stores. What else? Yeah, I think for right now, those are the biggest things. I was writing a book last year, but with how busy we've gotten, it was a D&D inspired book. So it was told from the perspective of my first D&D character that I ever played. It was a very cool story, and it was like it was her point of view about what was happening in that campaign. It's really cool. But with just how busy we've gotten, I haven't gotten a chance to really work on it that much. But the first chapter is out. The first chapter is published. I think it's in the link in bio on Instagram. I think. I'll double check. So yeah, the first chapter is released and it's published, but the rest of the book is still in works. So that's still to come. And then, yeah, I think right now those are the biggest things that we're working on.
Those are very big projects. That's amazing. And
Thanks.
guys, go read the first chapter so we can put pressure for the next chapters. No, I mean, I know that's a lot of work, but it would be amazing if you could finish that because, well, I can tell that you're excited about it.
Thank you. It'll be cool. It'll be good. Yeah. Hopefully you guys like it. Let me know if you like the first chapter.
Yes, of course, I will. And guys, please just reach out. They answer so quickly. It's amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for accepting the invitation, for taking the time, showing us your minis and everything. Here in the channel, we have like a small symbolic way to saying thank you for coming. I will send it to you through Instagram later, or yeah, Instagram or email, whatever you prefer. But right now, or in a few seconds, our viewers will see the acknowledgement. It's an acknowledgement from the order to you guys with Magecraft Miniatures name. And again, it's just a symbolic way to say thank you for coming, for sharing the information, your experience, the code. That's something I wasn't expecting. So thank you very much for everything.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me and for your time and for the questions. Thank you guys for the questions as well. I hope they were helpful.
Yes, I've learned a lot about this.
Yay!
And the other thing, I also hope that this helps you guys in your project, so other people know what you're doing. And I don't know, maybe the ideas that you got from here will help with your
Definitely.
projects.
Thank you so much. That'll help me know what kind of content you guys want to see more of, so that I can work on that too. Thank you.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys for staying with us. Real quick, I will switch to Spanish. Rápidamente, chicos, les recuerdo que el día de hoy, a menos que me digan lo contrario justo ahora, el día de hoy tenemos también el Perpetuaedro a las 7 p.m. Eastern, si no me equivoco, que son roleros jugando videojuegos, intentando jugar videojuegos por lo menos. Y la próxima semana nos vemos para el día viernes con Eternal, sábado entrevista y domingo de nuevo el Shiny Icosahedron Great Order. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys for staying. And may your checks be always critical.
Gracias.